Tom Thibodeau has just given an update on Julius Randle's dislocated shoulder, and we are going to break this down and talk about the potential return of the Knicks All-Star and two-time All-NBA player. So let's do this, guys. Welcome back to Knicks Digest. It's Chris here, and we're going to waste no time jumping right into the video. Though, real quick, right before we do, if you have any suggestions for any content that you guys want to see on this channel, comment down below. I read every single comment that you guys post on these videos, so I will see it. Dario and I are looking for some stuff to talk about for All-Star break, but now let's just get into the video, because Julius Randle could be coming back soon, as Tom Thibodeau has given a very promising update on the New York Knicks star player. Now, if you look here, what Tibbs had to say is, they met the other day before the Rockets trip before the Knicks went to Houston, and what Tibbs had to say about it is, we're already processing what the next things are. He's doing very well overall. And the thing that's unfortunate is that he was playing at such a high level when he took on the injury. And I said at the time, the great thing about him is that he's in great shape. So I think it makes it not easier. It's never easier to come back. But because of the fact that he's in great shape, I think coming back happens faster because of that. Well, Tibbs, I'm not a doctor, and neither are you, but I would say that sounds correct. Look, I'm not going to make this about myself, but I have had a dislocated injury before. I dislocated my kneecap, and the number one thing with dislocations is you have to get an MRI to see if the bone that you're dislocating or the part of your body that you're dislocating, did it rip through any ligaments? Now, if it did, you're going to need to get both the dislocation repaired so that it won't pop out again, and also you're probably going to have to get a surgery done to fix that. For instance, John Morant dislocated his shoulder. It went through the labor room. Ja's season is over. It also gives the Grizzlies an excuse to just tank this year, but I genuinely do believe that is what happened. If you dislocate your knee, like I did, you're going to have to see if it went through the ACL, MCL, LCL, meniscus, PCL, all that stuff. And if that is the case, you're going to have a long road ahead of you, and your season is probably over. Julius, it seemed like after the MRI, nothing was really coming out for way too long, which was a good sign, I guess, because it turns out everything was okay. We would know if something happened to Julius, and the deal is that maybe he still does need surgery. Look, as we look right here, regarding above, the possibility still exists that Randle will need surgery, either during the season or after, but it seems like things are trending in the right direction. And then what else Tibbs had to say is that it's going to be constant evaluation. He's doing well, progressing, meeting all the milestones. So when he's ready to go, he's ready to go. But that's another benefit of the break coming. Julius doesn't sit out with soreness. If he can play, he's going to play. We know that Julius is an absolute warrior. The man will play as long as he is breathing. And unfortunately, he is out due to an injury, and it was a freak injury. Like, Jaime Jaquez happened to be in a bad position for Julius. Julius lands weird, pops his shoulder out. It was pretty evident to anyone who's seen a shoulder dislocation before that that's exactly what happened. And luckily, him being reevaluated in 2 to 3 weeks meant that he did not rip his shoulder through any ligaments, specifically the labrum, which takes a while to heal. The last time a New York Knick had a torn labrum was Knicks not legend, Joakim Noah, who he tore his labrum at the end of a season before, and then later got suspended for taking steroids, because the 2017 Knicks were just quite the experience to behold. I don't think any of us remember that season fondly. After the 16-13 start, too, we were good. We were good, and then Phil makes Jeff Hornacek implement the triangle, and we sucked. But I had to get that out. I can never forgive Phil Jackson for ruining that season for us. But it is what it is. It all ended well. Now we have Jalen Brunson, who's the greatest player of all time. But look, Julius has been playing really well for the Knicks this season. He had a slow start, and ever since then has bounced back beautifully on the year. Randle is averaging 24 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, shooting 47% from the field and 31% from 3. Both those field goal and the three-point numbers have climbed throughout the year when he was battling back from his ankle injury. And now he is back. Also, who the hell ever called him Don Julio or Orange Julius? Never once heard those nicknames, Basketball Reference. Stay you, Basketball Reference. Never change. But Julius' season, as I said, it had particularly gotten better, especially with the acquisition of OG Anunoby, because as much as I do love RJ Barrett, RJ's fit with the Knicks was just atrocious. It's not RJ's fault. It's not the Knicks' fault. It's just the way of the world. It's just the style that him and Julius and Brunson all play. It didn't work together. So the Knicks go get OG Anunoby, who fits the Knicks perfectly, and ever since then, Julius balled out. He averaged 25 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 assists, and considerably shot much better. Since January 1st, 2024, Julius has been shooting 37% from 3 and nearly 50% from the field. The man has been on a tear, but unfortunately now his shoulder's all screwed up. And here's the deal. Let's just break down this situation real quick with his shoulder, because essentially, if Randle is going to get reevaluated in 2 to 3 weeks, which is what was said, and that was said on February 1st, so that means in 2 days from now, or in 9 days from now. Either way, very soon to the All-Star break. 2 days from now, the Knicks will officially be on All-Star break, because that'll be Thursday the 15th. The Knicks' next game, or the Knicks' final game before the break is tomorrow, Wednesday the 14th against the Orlando Magic. And then after that, the next option is right after the All-Star break. So regardless, Julius should be here for down the stretch as long as he does not need surgery. And the reason that surgery is still in question, even though he's getting reevaluated this quickly, is the Knicks need to see if Randle's shoulder is going to be able to stay in place. Something big about dislocations is once it pops out, the probability that it pops out again goes through the roof. I can say that from personal experience. It sucks. A lot. It hurts a lot. And because of that, the Knicks need to make sure that Julius isn't going to keep injuring his shoulder over and over again for the rest of the season. I've made this analogy before a few weeks back, and I'm going to do it again. If any of you guys are UFC fans, you might remember when a fighter who goes by the name of TJ Dillashaw was training to fight for a UFC championship in October of 2021. Now, in that process, it was actually 2022, but who cares? He dislocated his shoulder while training, but did not alert any of the UFC health staff, then went into fight. In the fight, his shoulder popped out of place multiple times, and he was basically fighting with one arm while getting wrestled to the ground, and the fight ended after 2 rounds when Aljamain Sterling essentially kept pounding his head in to the canvas, because Dillashaw couldn't defend himself using one arm against a UFC fighter who had 2 arms and was the champion of the world at the time. Now, the Knicks need to make sure that that doesn't happen with Julius, whereas everything Julius does, every time he's making contact with someone, his right shoulder is not going to pop out of place. Yeah, he's a lefty, so he's going to move in. Like, if he's going in, he's going to use his left shoulder. When he goes to the hoop, he drives in and will usually, because he goes left, he bumps you and then shoots with the same arm. But if he's on the other side of it and he's trying to dig in and fade back, he has to use his right shoulder, meaning he's going to have to make a lot of contact. We know Julius is as physical as it gets on the basketball court. He's one of the last true physical power forwards in the NBA. Up there with him and Zion and a few other guys, but mainly him and Zion, I would say, when it comes to straight physicality. Also, shout out to Paulo Banchero, because he's keeping that alive in the next generation. And Julius, essentially, he needs to be able to do that or he's not going to be effective. He's just not an effective player trying to be skill-based. He needs to be that physical guy who's stronger than essentially everyone on the basketball court. And if he can't do that, he's not going to be his best self, and he's going to hurt the Knicks more than he helps them. The Knicks need to make sure that that is not the situation that happens, and what is that happens is that Randle's fine, and sure, his shoulder might be a little weird, there will be some soreness, and if he needs surgery, he can get it over the offseason and be back ready to play in October of 2024, after the Knicks season ends, and after they go on the parade down Broadway, because they're obviously going to win the NBA Finals. But in all seriousness, the Knicks need Julius, or the playoffs are going to be really, really difficult for us, because Brunson's going to be way more susceptible to double teams, even with the addition of Alec Burks and Bojan Bogdanovic, who will both do a good job taking the ball out of Brunson's hands a little bit. It is still going to be so Brunson-centric that the Knicks are going to be in trouble. Now, not as much trouble, because Bogdanovic is a starting-level player on a playoff team. You could throw him at the power forward. You could have OG guard, whoever the best player on the court is. Bogdanovic is a sneakily, really technical defender. He's good at staying in front of his man, and as long as he's in front of the guy who has the ball, he's usually playing pretty smart defense. He's a good defender. He's strong, so he could play the 4 spot pretty well. And at the end of the day, Brunson, DiVincenzo, OG Anunoby, Bojan Bogdanovic, and Isaiah Hartenstein or Mitchell Robinson is going to be a good playoff roster, and they could win a single playoff series, but it's going to be dependent on matchups, because you need Julius there for the most part if you really want to go to the Eastern Conference Finals, and the Knicks just won't do that without Randle. Now, I do think OG is going to come back. I do think that DiVincenzo's hamstring is fine. It's definitely just like a slight like soreness or strain because he's playing a lot, and he'll be fine. He'll be fine in a week. But OG will definitely be fine and be here by the playoffs, almost certainly. Mitchell Robinson might be back. The Knicks would be good and they could win a playoff series, but they cannot win two unless they have Julius Randle there. They need his ball dominance. And the Knicks run two sets. Everything the Knicks do, it always leads back to the same offensive plays, which is you either run some sort of screen action with Jalen Brunson, whether that's him using the screen or not, or creating shots off of it. They're going to run some sort of screen action between Brunson and Hartenstein a lot because it works really well. Or they run a Julius Randle isolation, and that's it. And shout out to JJ Redick for really highlighting that. That is not me who noticed that. That is NBA player JJ Redick on the old man in the three. And essentially, that is what you do. That's what the Knicks do. And because of that, they need Julius there for his isolations. They need him there for his big body. They need the defense. They need the leadership. He is essentially the captain of this team. The Knicks need Julius Randle there in order to be their best selves. And without him, they are not making the Eastern Conference Finals. I just don't believe. I think it's very slightly possible, but Brunson's going to get mobbed with double teams and would have to damn near average 38 per game, I think, in both series. So that would be difficult to do. And they're also going to need that same play from Dante DiVincenzo that they've had since Randle went down, because Devo's averaging around 27 points per game since the Randle injury, which is just remarkable. And they're going to need that to hold up. And once again, make sure that if you have any ideas for videos that you want to see from us over the All-Star break, which is upcoming soon, make sure to comment down below what those are. Like this video, subscribe to Knicks Digest, and I am serious, because I see you there thinking, should I just subscribe so this guy shuts up? Yes, you should. Have a great day. Go Knicks.